we're going to get that back in there. Alright, so there's a few things that we need to do before we get the engine back into the engine bay. We need to sort out the turbo and the up pipe and everything. I've warped this flange here, so I'm going to have to put some sealant on it because it's got all the studs on there. I can't flatten it off. I need to clock the cartridge just a little bit more so we don't have a kink in this drain here. We'll do some wiring for the oil pressure sensor that's down there. Alright, so I've just clocked the cartridge just a little bit. Now there's no kink. We'll flip it over, do the manifold, do the mounts. Alright, so I'm working on getting the exhaust manifold on. Put the engine mounts on there. They are not new, but they are not my old ones. They are the ones out of the XT, which they're about 3-4 mil bigger than my other ones, so less tired. Eventually, yeah, they'll get changed out to the STI ones that I've got in the XT, but for now these will do because I'm pretty sure this engine will come out again. Alright, let's get the stock exhaust manifold on. Alright, the exhaust is on. I've also got the coils in and plugged in. Then flip it back over and work on the GT35. I did the wiring for the oil pressure sensor. Now I'm going to put the alternator and the AC unit on because that's how I crane it back into the engine bay. Haven't been able to find a gasket, and I haven't got a 45 or 44mm external gate yet, so can't really start it just yet. I will change over this banjo fitting for the oil feed. That oil drain is perfect, so that can all be done on the car. Same with the coolant, should I say. We'll get the front together. I've torqued that to 127 newton meters. Alright, so I decided to mount the turbo. It doesn't have a gasket, that's okay. Put the oil feed on. It's not too bad, it's not too tight. There's a little bit of play there. That's alright. Oil drains on to work out the water, coolant. So she's ready to go in tomorrow. So after work I'll bring in the engine crane. I've got a feeling this pump is a leaky boy, so we'll see how we go with that. Alright guys, it's a couple of days later. We've got the engine crane in here, ready to get this engine back in the engine bay. Alright guys, if you're liking what you're seeing, make sure you hit that like button, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button too. Really appreciate it. Let's get back to it. Alright, engine is back in. It took a little bit longer than usual. I did manage to get it in with all the exhaust on and the turbo, and I like how that sits. Sick. It's going to be a little bit hard to do the waterline now, but I'll manage. Alright, so all of the engine mounts are on, all the bell housing bolts and nuts are on. I am up to the drive plate bolts, so there's 4 12mm bolts to go in there. Alright, I've got the power steering back on, that's all connected up. Done some wiring. The external gate is very, very close to that steering knuckle. I'm going to have to work something out. I'm going to have to do the wastegate first before I do the exhaust, because I'm not sure how that's going to happen. Been trying to figure out, I'm trying to find the banjo bolt or something to go into here. Alright guys, time to put the fuel pressure regulator in. So it used to go over here, and by the looks of it, it's not going to fit there anymore. So have to relocate or make a bracket of some sort. Alright, so I'm going to have to remake this return line so that I can just go out of the way for now. We need to get this in here somewhere. So I've got this 90 down here and this 90 here to go into the sides of the fuel pressure regulator. I don't want to really change that. I don't mind changing this one. This one goes to the Haltech flex fuel sensor, so I can change that one quite easy. I just don't want to change the ones that are coming from the rails. Alright, so I've got the lines hooked up to the fuel pressure regulator, and it just doesn't seem like there's enough room width-wise to have it in that area. Alright, I managed to get it down to pretty close to where it was before. I can get both lines in. It's a bit fiddly. You can see the gauge, and I can adjust it. Then where the old filter was, I've got this bracket that comes down. I might be able to mount it off that, or for now cable tie it and work it out a little bit later. Yeah, we've still got that line over here, so we'll get the Haltech flex fuel and see where we're at with that. Alright, got the flex fuel sensor from Haltech. So before I had it mounted probably about here on the carbon fiber, and it went directly into there. So it's sitting about there. This came up and was sitting there. Then we had catch can here. So let's see if I can figure something out. Alright, so a limiting factor here is the wiring. So pretty much it's got to be here. I do have more fuel line, so that's okay. So we go to there. We could possibly Alright guys, I decided to take the return off. It's got the dampener in it. We can add dampeners to the fuel rails, so this will push that back onto the hard line. So then, well, this is an E85 compatible, so it's straight into the hard lines, in and out. The only line would be from the hard lines to the tank that I'd have to change, and we'll probably end up getting a hanger anyway. Alright, so I've managed to swap around a few fittings and we've got what we need. We just need to obviously extend that. So this one over here is changed to a straight, so it's not a 90 anymore. It was rubbing and a few other things. We are going to have that intake come up here. That will probably get moved at some point. But here we have the Haltech. That'll go in there like so. Okay, so I was just thinking before I could possibly skin the top of this. So put alley tape on top, take these out and put the carbon fiber on there, form it to it, and then pretty much follow this line. So I'd come out to here, go all the way down and tuck it in here, so all that wiring would be tucked in behind. So it'd have 3 mounting points. So it would be this one here and these two here, and it will form to the washer bottle, so it really wouldn't move. And yeah, it'll clean everything up there. And this would go down in there, or I could just drill a hole and put a grommet and put the wiring through. That might not work actually. Drill a hole on the edge and put a little grommet, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and clean that up. So I'll have to clean up all this wiring here too. For now, I need to mount the fuel pressure regulator, so I know how long I need to do my lines from here to there. Alright, I've just made a little bracket here, which I'm pretty happy with. This one doesn't touch it. Still got to obviously get the 90 on underneath. I'll do that tomorrow. It's going to be a bit late now, but yeah. Gonna need some longer bolts in here with everything we're going to do here. But yeah, it's coming together. This will rotate out a bit, so it is straight. Yeah, pretty happy with that. It's not touching anything. Well, that vacuum line is just, oh no it's not. Still got all the breather hoses to go as well. Maybe I'll make a catch can up here, so we've just got lines that go from here to here. I don't know if I want lines going everywhere, and then obviously from there to there. Alright guys, it's the next day. So I found the banjo bolt for the coolant. Also found my black ones that I use for the coolant, so we might be able to use both of them. So straight, and it'll come back around and up there. Get rid of these chromey ones. Really, we need to go from a dash 8 to a dash 6. But we can do that later. We are going to do the last fuel line. So we've got quite a bit there. So I'll fit one end off with the orb 90. We'll get that in and we'll see what length we need. We'll get the dash 8 90 onto that. So we'll get it to a good length of where the flex fuel sensor feels comfortable with the length of this one. And then we'll try to design this whole area here around where that's going to sit. So just for reference, that's how long that hose was. About as long as my pinky, which is pretty small, probably about 50 mil, 2 inches. So we're going to extend that a lot. Alright, all the fuel lines are now done. This pivot's on here anyway, so that'll just twist in like that. I'll probably get like a P-clip or something like that to mount it so it stays in the same location. In a future episode we'll do the carbon fiber there. Next episode we'll move over to coolant. We'll get all the coolant lines run. I guess we'll start looking at that wastegate. So turbo will have to come off and that adapter will have to come off. I'll probably just move it about 10 mil out. Then we should be able to get a wastegate on it. Haven't decided what I'm doing just yet, but if I chop it and keep 10 mil of that flange on there and then extend it out and put my 38mm one on there, we should be good to be able to swap it back. So until then we'll use my 38mm and go from there. So guys, I'm going to finish this episode here. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll catch you next episode when we continue on with this. I was going to say twin turbo Forester, but it's not twin turbo anymore. Big turbo Forester. Bye.